Hi, Davi here, and today we have a new episode in the Art Podcast series here on YouTube. And today we'll be doing an episode on not doing the hardest thing. And in fact, I recommend that you avoid doing the hardest thing. Now, obviously, this is not an absolute advice, but I think this really applies to when you're trying to start something. And oh shit, I keep seeing there was kind of a ring thing that's happening, or that was happening. It usually happens when I use my Wacom for some reason. By the way, I'm using Clip Studio Paint today, and I'm using my Wacom Intuos Pro S. Anyway, so yeah, I do recommend you start out with doing the easiest thing first. And the reason why is, let me just write it down because it's kind of, I just thought of this right now. First, it looks like a P. First impression or setting the tone. Yeah, or setting the tone, sorry. The reason why you want to start the easiest thing first, obviously it's going to be easy, so there's less friction, but that's pretty obvious, right? But I think these are extra benefits of doing something that's fairly easy. Now, what do I mean? Setting the tone means it's usually going to set the mood of the rest of your art session. Now, this can apply to anything really, but these two things are basically related, but they're two different kind of perspectives on the same thing. And the point is, you want to sort of set a first impression. Shit, I'm just saying the same thing. It's sort of a reminder, maybe not a reminder, but it's kind of like priming yourself. Oftentimes, there are certain colors that are used for specific things. For example, you add green, say on like hospital lobbies to calm people down because green sort of reminds us of nature. Maybe you add yellow in a certain room for us to become a bit more, or on rooms that require a bit more energy. So maybe it's a gym of some kind, or it's a place that needs some kind of attention. Maybe it's a kind of an activity, sort of, I don't know, not theater, but like a gathering space of some kind, right? So the point is, by doing something that's easy, that's somewhat enjoyable, that you like, that there's almost no friction to doing it, I think that helps you set the tone that, in my case, painting is something that's enjoyable. And it doesn't mean I won't work. It just means I need to set the mood, the tone. So it's sort of like foreplay. Oh shit. Maybe it's a bad analogy, but okay, I'll explain it in this case. Whenever I struggle with starting something, or if I start to overthink about what to do, I tend to do these sorts of heads. And you'll notice in most of my like random sketches, I tend to gravitate towards doing these sort of helmet designs of some kind. Now, the reason why is there's no face. There's no eye, there's no mouth. So it's so easy to do. It's basically, you can essentially make any random shape. And all you have to do is sort of just define certain edges and maybe practice a bit of your rendering to make something up and make it look a bit 3D. And in the end, you do get some kind of design. And sometimes I like elongating stuff. For example, you saw me do this where I just push the stroke out just because it's fun and I don't really know what to do. So I think doing these sorts of things, I think it's a great way to set the impression of the activity you're doing. Now, this is even more important when you're trying to learn something. Basically, you're trying to expand your skills, your knowledge base. And whenever you expand from your comfort zone, it's not going to be obviously comfortable. But again, I don't think the recommendation, or I don't think the solution is to start with discomfort. Yes, it's going to be or there's going to or you're going to have or experience discomfort, and that's necessary and to be expected. But I think it's better to always, or for the most part, start with comfort. Why? Because it sort of sets the impression that this thing is fun, and it sets the tone of kind of the whole activity. And then once you're satisfied enough in terms of your emotion, wow, that's a nice heart. In terms of your emotion, then you can expand from that into discomfort. Because if you just start out with this, for example, if you're struggling with your anatomy, just starting the day doing anatomy studies, you're not going to feel as good because obviously there's going to be a skill gap. You're not going to be as good, and that's going to affect your drawing experience. You start to think that you're not even good at doing art, So I think doing these, specifically these types, now this will depend from person to person, but for me, it's just doing these. It kind of shows, or you're basically creating a mini proof that you can do something. So sometimes people just draw, people have or some artists that I know, they like to draw faces, like the same face, even though they have like the same face syndrome, where it doesn't matter what character they do, they just keep drawing a very similar face in terms of proportions. They still do it. And the reason why is because it's fun. Like it doesn't have, people keep giving advice that, oh shit, like you should expand the kinds of faces you can do and stuff like that. But that's great if you want to expand, but if you're, you need to learn what's actually enjoyable for you. We all have like shoulds and shouldn't, but if it's not fun for you, then why are you doing that sort of thing? Right? So that's just something to consider. Think of, always focus on comfort first. I'm not saying you can't feel or you're not supposed to feel discomfort. What I am saying is that you should prioritize comfort first. Why? Because it sets the tone, it sets the mood, it sets your first impression, so that every time you paint a new thing, even though it's difficult, you're going to not hate the process. You're going to start thinking, oh shit, the reason why I'm not feeling good when I'm say practicing my human anatomy is because I'm not really good at it. But you don't have that negative association with making art because you've already done this in the beginning. And what's also cool about this is it's very minimal. Like it doesn't take much to do something like this. It's more of a, like you're basically doing doodles, and these sorts of things don't even take that long. They're basically just quick sketches or quick concepts. You'll see also like 3D model or sculptors, 3D modelers or sculptors. Sometimes it's kind of hard for me to imagine them doing sketches in the way I think of doing sketches in 2D, but sometimes they're able to create like really fast, very conceptual models, and it looks great. And it looks very fun. Even if I myself am not a sculptor or 3D modeler, I can tell that person is having so much fun. And sometimes they do record these sessions, which is cool. And then once they do that in the beginning as a sort of warm up, then they do their like heavier like head study or anatomical study or their like their fantasy landscape environment, right? So I think this is something that can help you, especially if you're the type of person who has difficulty starting. It's just to figure out what's comfortable, what's fun, what's enjoyable, and it has to be short. You don't want to take too long, because if the gratification and the satisfaction takes too long to come or arrive, then you're less likely to do it. So it has to be short or quick in a way. Just think of these things when you're trying to figure out what these are. I think if you don't have any of these, you have to figure that out as soon as possible, because developing your skills isn't always going to be lovey-dovey. As much as I'm enjoying doing these, when I'm actually like trying to break down something, I start to get pissed sometimes and even angry, and it happens. But I'm going to experience way more frustrating and complicated emotions the more I try to expand my skill set and expand from my comfort zone. So why should I start with that? Why not start with something that you love, so that you get to experience the full spectrum? In the beginning, You start out with love and enjoyment and just, just having fun, having doodles. And then eventually, as you go to your harder exercises, harder like projects or study sessions, you will experience way more frustration. So why not start here? Why not start from? Let me just change the arrow. It's supposed to go this way. Why not start from a thing that you love, and it doesn't have to be that long. Even it can be like this. Let me just erase it. If this is the whole like hard process, let's say you're doing a project or you're trying to do a study session, why not start with something you love, right? And it doesn't even take much. Like look at how short that is. It's like 10% of your entire like art session, and you can spend the rest of your time just struggling, suffering. But at least you've set the tone, you've set the mood. The first impression of art is always that it's enjoyable. So you always have that sort of context and that contrast, I guess. Because if all you do, if you always start with doing something that's hard, then eventually you're going to develop that. You're sort of training your mind like the Pavlov's dog experiment, where every time a bell would ring, the experimenter would present food to the dog. So eventually, if you keep doing that, the dog will associate that bell with food. And if you keep doing that, eventually it's going to be so strong, that association, that dog will start salivating and start like drooling, because it's already assuming that there's going to be food, right? So I think doing the more comfortable things first, the more enjoyable things first, and being quick about the results, or quick about the gains. Maybe that's not the word. Or the gratification. We'll say that the gratification. I think that's going to help train your mind to understand that, oh shit, it's time for fun, right? So even if you're doing something that's going to eventually be hard, right? It's going to be difficult. You're probably going to experience some negative emotions, and doubt, and just general frustration. It's not going to be as intense, because you already have that sort of contrast that, oh shit, this is a fun thing, and I just happen to be working on the more harder parts, or the more difficult parts of this project, right? So figure out what these things are. It could be like and it has to be easy. If you constantly have to think about it, if you feel like it's even more work, then it's probably not the thing that's going to help you. It's going to make things worse. If it's making things worse, then you don't have that thing in check. So for me, I think it's going to be helmets. And sometimes it's not always the helmets thing. I think I mentioned how I don't add like facial features, and the reason why is I don't know how to do them from imagination. So if you just add these sorts of things, it sort of looks like eyeballs, like some advanced kind of, I don't know, hardware to make you see better at whatever, right? So these sorts of like weird concepts, it's very me. And it's super quick to do, and it's fun. And the reason why it's fun is because I can actually create something that's for me is somewhat interesting, right? And even though it's not always like perfect, and it can feel kind of weird to look at, it's still enjoyable for me. So you always have to think about yourself, and it's good to study or see what makes other people, or what other people enjoy, or what gets them going. But in the end of the day, you have to do enough experiments to figure out what exactly are these sorts of activities that you just tend to enjoy no matter what, right? So sometimes it's not just the helmets thing. For me, I think it's starting with color. So for example, I do have this guy here. Let me just make the text smaller here. Let's make this color wheel a bit small, and I'll make the rest of the text just tiny. Lasso tool here. Let me just do this. Control T. Oh shit, Control T. There you go. Whenever you sort of do these adjustments, or these what's the word? Like when you're trying to move stuff with the lasso fill and you're trying to like move them around, it's kind of slow in Clip Studio Paint. Am I wrong? Is it just me? Like compared to Photoshop, like the brushwork is pretty fast in Clip Studio Paint. Like I don't really experience lag unless I'm trying to, unless I have like so many like browsers or other programs open. So I don't really have an issue. But whenever I like lasso something and select things and move things around, it's like so laggy. So who knows? Anyway, so sometimes it's the helmet and sometimes it's color. So let me just pick a different brush, something more bold, because that's usually what makes me, or what's easier for me to do. We'll try this. Okay, so I'll pick a red. Usually I usually tend to go for like really bright saturated colors. For example, red. Oh, look at that. Even though it's a random shape, or it's just a bunch of like brush strokes. And yeah, in general, just mark making, like making marks on a page, it just gets me going. And in the end, I sort of naturally, once I start doing this, the momentum sort of builds up, and I eventually start doing something a bit more complicated. And even if I don't do something complicated, in the end of the day, or in the end of that quick session, I always have that feeling of, oh shit, this thing is fun. So my impression of art is enjoyable, right? So always set the first, I think the first impressions are a bit more important, because it sort of solidifies the image you have of whatever, right? For example, if you're trying to work out, there are certain exercises that I do that just seems more enjoyable. For example, doing knee raises or leg raises. It's super quick to do, but because they're quick and fun to do, it helps me sort of stick to my daily workout schedule, right? Even if I don't do anything that heavy that day, maybe it's because I'm tired or I'm just injured. Because right now my right elbow is a bit strained from working too much, or I think it's because of the my bench press. I overdid it maybe, or I just held things the wrong way. So it's kind of, I can't really do much heavy work. So I just focus on something that's a bit more easy. It's doing knee raises. It's basically an ab workout. Not that difficult compared to the heavier stuff. And because I can't do really like chest exercises, I just do pull-ups. Whenever I have to do like a more heavier day, I don't do weights. I just do this time anyway, because of my injury or my strain. I just do pull-ups, and it's super fun. And I don't even go the whole way. Sure, you can aim for like perfect, like, or like the full range of motion sort of deal. But sometimes I'm just tired, and obviously my elbow isn't as healthy, so I just do a half rep. Basically, it's a rep, and you're doing half the version of that thing. So it's not all the way there, it's sort of about 50% of the way there. But guess what? I still was able to work out that day. And the reason why is I did something that was simple enough, enjoyable enough, and that's sort of enough. You don't have to work yourself to the bone. I mean, I know sometimes we make that assumption where we think if we spend more time on something, I mean, in general, yes, the more will improve to an extent. Mileage, it does contribute. Like eventually, quantity will lead to quantity will lead to quality. So that's a general rule. But there are days where you just want to take it easy, right? And in those days, I think doing these is very important because it's fun, it's easy. Like you don't even have to think, and you're always reminded that this thing is fun, and you don't develop this sort of hate because it happens usually where you develop this love-hate relationship with art because it's important to us, and when we don't make progress, when we struggle too much, we start to question our skills, whether we're actually meant or talented enough for this thing. So we have those thoughts. So I think a way to sort of do that is to not do the hardest thing first anyway, or in the beginning anyway. Do the easy stuff, right? Because there's also this advice, it's very common in the self-development community. It's called eating the frog. And basically the reason why they say eat the frog is because when you visualize a frog, it's not very appetizing to look at. I mean, how many of us actually eat or consume frog? Like, it's a very rare kind of delicacy, right? So it's a visual for something that's very difficult that you probably don't want to do. That's great, but I think for the if it gets you going and if you get results from that, then go with that. But obviously, if you're not getting results from that kind of approach, then you may need to change something. And I think you don't have to even change that much. Just start something or do something that's easy in the beginning, and work your way up to something that's more difficult. You don't have to just jump in. You don't have to do like cold showers immediately, or things of this nature where you just try to like overwhelm and stress yourself immediately. Like, why? I mean, if you're just doing it to sort of prove that you're disciplined, that's nice. But if it's causing you more stress, remember, when you're trying to do these sorts of exercises, or when you're trying to do this approach, it's not like you're not going to do anything difficult. All I'm saying is just start with something you enjoy, something that's easy, something that's comfortable, something that's low effort. Like, you don't even have to try too hard, where the results are pretty much instant. Or so you can get that instant satisfaction or gratification, right? And it's not an uncommon advice. You hear this a lot from more experienced artists. Do the thing you love. Do like your favorite thing. For example, like pretty. Like, usually it's a portrait of some kind of chick, right? Or maybe a dragon. We like dragons. Or maybe a mecha, a robot or something, or an alien. Or maybe drawing flowers. Like, it really depends on you. But the point is to just not overthink it and to set the tone. Make your first impression of art. Train yourself to always understand that, oh shit, this thing is fun. This thing has always been fun. It's only kind of sucky when I'm not good at it, and that's usually when I'm trying to expand my skill set or go beyond my comfort zone. But in general, I'm always having fun. So that's the mindset, I guess, that you want to have. Now, I'm not sure what this thing is, but I kind of like it. Oh shit, it's raining on the outside. Now I'm Monday outside. And in general, not everything has to be difficult. I'll try to expand this concept a bit to not just starting. In general, doing. When it comes to your style, like, I think the best way, or one of the best ways to find your style, is to think about the kind of process that's easy for you to do. Now, obviously, sometimes we have to expand our skills, I get it. But do enough kind of experiments to figure out what kind of art approach is just easier for you to do. For me, it's I like drawing, but I used to do it a lot, but it's I don't do it as much anymore. Because it's just not. Wait a minute. Is there a way to remove the white quickly in Clip Studio Paint? Maybe if I select. Any suggestions? I'm not sure how to do that. Oh, fuck it. I'll just go old school, erase the goddamn thing. Now I'm on the outside. Kneaded eraser maybe? Am I even in the right layer? Christ. Oh shit, I'm doing a mask? What the fuck? Let me delete this. Okay, delete this layer. I want to remove this white, but maybe there's a way to select the white much faster, but I don't know how. So I'm gonna have to just go old school and just do this. Oh shit, I'm erasing too much. for example, I don't really do as much drawings like line work, and the reason why is I just find it slow, and it's not just because of that, but I also found, because I've experimented enough, that I feel much more comfortable when I paint, right? And by the way, when doing this in Photoshop, it's way faster. Do you see that lag whenever I move it quickly? Like the actual like selection is fast, but the image kind of rendering is taking a bit long. Is there a setting that I'm not doing in the preferences? So if you have any kind of suggestions on that, hit me up. Oh, I know. I'll flip the canvas, or flip horizontal. Yes. Oh yeah. And then we'll sort of warp the frick. Okay, is there no warp thing here? Damn, that sucks dick. I think we have a few liquify tools here. I'm not sure where. Wait, let me just figure this out quickly. Where's the liquify tool? Oh shit. Liquify. Oh shit, I have two. I remember seeing in other, like, is there a liquify something here? Sometimes I don't really know how to navigate these sorts of spaces. But I feel like there's more types, right? Liquify. Oh yeah, there are more types. So this one is the push, the expand. I want to push left, push right, twirl. Maybe expand. You know what? Fuck it, we'll just push it. And we'll do this. Oh, it's too weak. Oh shit, we'll try to... do that. I don't know. Okay. Not bad. Yeah, for me, I just feel like for me, painting, because of experimentation, trying things out. Excuse me, I just had a sip of coffee. It's kind of cold now, but it's just easier for me to paint stuff, and it feels good for me. It feels I feel like I enjoy it more, and it's easy for me. It's a little more easy for me than, say, doing line work. And for example, I do see like tutorials on YouTube saying that, oh, you don't actually have to do inked line work. You can just use if you're into, because for some people they do like line work, but they're not really into the whole inking part where it's a bit more finished. Like they usually do their sketches, but they like to leave it as it is, and they find the whole inking thing a bit too like it's a hassle for them. So there are tutorials out there showing you that you can create some cool like anime character art with just your initial even pencil sketches, where it's a bit rougher. It's not like tight or clean, and sometimes it kind of fades into the coloring or the painting. It's still there, but it's not like a black or something where where it's so obvious. So you do have those things. I think going the easy route isn't always a bad thing. In fact, it's what makes you. It contributes to your brand or your style or your personality or your voice. Or for example, I remember doing in my channel, you'll find a lot of art reviews, and as of this recording, I have way more of those videos than I have of me actually creating art. And the reason why is because that's the only thing at the time I knew what to do. Like I wasn't very comfortable with painting. I wasn't really skilled in I was even afraid to do these sorts of things. To me, that this was like an effort. So the best thing I could do at that time, the easiest thing for me to do, was just to do art reviews. Because I have the habit of like exploring ArtStation, Twitter, those kinds of sites. And since I like doing that, I thought, you know what, for my YouTube content, I'll just start doing art reviews. I've seen others do it, and there's not that many of that anyway, or those kinds of videos where they review like artists. I mean, they're there, but it's not like super popular. So I thought, you know what, I'll just do it because it's the only thing I could do, and I felt that I could do. I mean, I can do anything. Sure, there's always a possibility, and we can always do anything if we think about it. But at that time, for me, the easiest thing for me to do, or that I felt I could do, and feelings are important here. I just felt like that was the only thing that was easy enough and less pressuring for me to do. So that's what I did. And guess what? That's actually what led to me building my initial channel, or it's still the same channel, but the first subscribers I've gotten was because of what was due to those videos. I still do them, although I'm trying to expand a bit and not just be a review channel. I want to brand myself as an actual artist. I can't just be enjoying people's art. I want to actually contribute to the world of the this kind of art realm, right? But yeah. And right now, the reason why I'm doing these art podcast videos is because to me that's the easiest thing for me to do. Yes, I can edit the videos more. I can do it like the other YouTubers or art YouTubers do it. I can like wait for a week, spend the entire week editing one video, and do like a really well edited video, because that's usually the standard, like one video a week that's well edited. But to me, that's just an effort, because I'm also trying to balance my art development. I want to get good at this thing, and because for some of these people, they're already established, like they already have some skills, and so for them, it's more of just advertising their work, right? For me, I'm trying to balance both content creation, but at the same time, actually making art. So for me, the easiest thing for me that I feel I can do is doing these sorts of videos, raw, direct. And there are other artists who do this too. Like they don't even talk in their videos, they just show their artwork, and they sort of just leave it as it is, no music even sometimes. And sure, it can get boring, but they have like almost like 100K. Some of them have like a close to 1 million at this point subscribers, and it's all because they just they picked something that was easy enough for them to do. And guess what? Now they have a following. Now they have a social media presence online. So it's not always like an either or. Like you don't have to do it like other people, and you shouldn't be ashamed to sort of accept what's easy for you. In fact, you should think of that as a sort of advantage or strength, because what's easy for you may be difficult for other people. So I'm not sure where I'm going with this piece, but it's pretty good. Look at that. I'm not sure what this thing is, but guess what? It looks freaking cool. And it's easy enough for me. Now maybe if this is not your thing, maybe it's easy for you, but it's not enjoyable. Like you think it's weird and it's kind of mentally autistic. Then do something else that's a bit more enjoyable. Draw some feet if you like feet. Tits, dick if that's your thing. Draw some yaoi, some yuri. Draw some like spaceships, dragons, reptiles. Sometimes a quick landscape painting is sort of it's a the whole, in concept art, there's the classic sort of concept art piece where you have a landscape, a castle that's sort of the focal point, and you have one guy or one chick that's holding a sword. Sure, it's so like cliche, but guess what? It's still exciting, even though it's overdone and overused. It still somehow keeps getting done. Do you know why? Number one, it's a very easy concept, so it's more likely to be done. And number two, it's enjoyable. Having or seeing a castle with like some clouds and seeing some greenery maybe, and then seeing like a knight or a guy in a horse with a lance or with a spear. It's fun to do, and that's why it keeps getting done. And guess what? Even though you may think it's like corny or overdone, these people have their artwork out there, and there's way more of that concept out there because people keep doing it, because they've done something. They've actually acted upon their their ideas, or they've acted on their ideas. You know, they've made something. Now, can you say the same for yourself? Oof, pain, judgment, criticism, right? Because sometimes I have those thoughts where I'm kind of like, oh, judgy and all, but I always tell myself, like, do I actually have work out there? And the answer is no, right? So hopefully this video helps you in some way. I think I'll stop here because this thing is looking amazeballs, kinda. I don't know what it is, but guess what? It's so fun. It's so fun. There you go. Let's add a bit of an edge here. Oh, I want this one. A darker value. Yeah, there you go. Oh, another quick tip. Try talking to yourself when you're doing art. It helps, by the way, if you can hear yourself. My recommendation is to get yourself a good set of headphones and obviously a microphone. Because to me, maybe it won't work for you, but for me, it makes the process more enjoyable. You know, just talking to myself. And maybe post it. Once you record that session, you can always post that session. You don't have to like post it, but I think recording your session is a great way to track your time, number one. But also it helps you keep yourself a bit more like engaged when you're talking to yourself. So maybe to me that's kind of fun, and it's just more engaging that way. And guess what? I'm more likely to do videos this way, where I just do things raw instead of like recording something in the background or kind of without talking and then using that as a background video. I'm not likely to do that, and I don't really enjoy it. So that's not for me. Other people may enjoy it. You yourself may enjoy it, so try that. So yeah. You don't always have to do the hardest thing. It's okay, and it may be even preferable to do the easy thing. So hopefully this video helps you. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.